Hey everyone, welcome to my kitchen. I am going to be preparing for you a plant-based recipe this evening using our ingredient of the week, which is pumpkin. So funny story with the pumpkin, I went to the store to find some today and they were completely sold out. And it just blows my mind, and I just think it's so comical that at this time of the year, it's kind of like finding the golden ticket. I did find 3 cans shoved really far back in the corner of the shelf. Very tempted to take all 3, but I only took 2. I have to, just in case there's that person that wanted that can of pumpkin for their dinner. And of course, we are living a yogi's life. For that, it would be probably, I would say, an example of seva, which is an act of, a selfless act, doing something just from the goodness of your heart, not expecting anything in return, when in the end we both benefit. So in that sense, I got my pumpkin. Granted, I got 2 cans, but I love feeling really good leaving that 1 can behind, and I really, really hope that the one person who's just craving pumpkin muffins, whatever, that they it made their day finding that 1 can. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and start making this recipe. It is fairly simple to make. Actually, it's very easy to make. There are minimal ingredients that you need. I will kind of show you as I go along the way what ingredients are needed, but I will take a picture and share all the ingredients with you with this video as well. So to start off, you will need a pan. I just use, in my experience, the bigger the better. I always underestimate how big of a pan I need, so I just grab my giant pan, frying pan, saucepan, I don't know what you call it, but I call it a pan. So you'll need that. I've got it starting to heat up. I do not like to cook with oil, I know, gasp. I just don't like it. It doesn't feel so great in my body, and it's really messy to cook with. But if you want to use oil, you feel free to. You could use a little bit of olive oil, you could use a little bit of coconut oil, avocado oil, anything like that. But just remember, a little goes a long way. So instead of oil, I actually use vegetable broth. So I'm going to put a little bit of the vegetable broth in the saucepan. And I don't know if it makes a difference, but I use this brand. So I'm just going to put a little bit in there. Woo, it's really hot. Let's turn that baby down. I actually prefer to cook on, what do you call it? A non-electric, so like a gas stove. I hate electric, and I have been cooking on this thing for almost 4 years, and I'm still trying to figure it out. So pardon that. I'm really good at cooking over fire and not electricity. So okay, so we've got our vegetable broth in there, and then okay, good, we're good. Not gonna splatter everywhere. To start off, we want to saute onion and garlic cloves. So for 1 serving, you will want to dice up half an onion and 1 garlic clove. If you don't like garlic, there's a lot of people out there who love garlic, so just put all the garlic in there to your heart's content. I'm doubling the servings, so I'm gonna be putting in 1 whole onion, and I am putting in only 2 garlic cloves. I do love garlic, but there's other seasonings that are going into this dish that I want to stand out more. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those in. I already pre-cut everything. I'm not fancy when it comes to cutting produce. Sorry, Gordon Ramsay, but I'm more about flavor and just getting everything cooked and done and ready to go so I can do other things with my night. So go ahead and let those saute. And you will see another thing that's really neat with oil-free cooking is that actually the onion, and I know mushrooms do it too, they release their own oil. So you'll see that the oil starts to come out after you cook it for a little bit. So you really don't need oil to cook. You don't need it if you are trying to save money, because I know oil is very expensive. You want to get the best kind. You really don't need it. You can use vegetable broth, or you can even use a little bit of water if you want. You can experiment with it. I tend to really like to use vegetable broth for a lot of the dishes I cook with. I just think it adds a lot more flavor, and plus you're getting an extra serving of vegetables. And I guess I can show you guys while that's cooking. Actually, I did want to mention too, this is not my recipe. This recipe is from one of my favorite chefs, favorite people ever. Her name is Lindsay Nixon. She is the Happy Herbivore. She actually, when I decided to transition over to a vegan lifestyle, she was very, very helpful. I had no idea how to cook beyond, I don't know, pasta and salads. And so I knew I couldn't live on that alone. And she has a lot of cookbooks. She even does a meal plan. She has a blog. She's just awesome. And I've been cooking her recipes for many years. I have memorized many of them, and I've really experimented with a lot of them. So this one is the pumpkin lentil curry. So if you want to, I'll see if I can find it. I may not be able to. If I can, I'll go ahead and post it, but I highly recommend, if you are looking for plant-based vegan recipes, to check her out. I will put the link in the description of this video so that you can at least check out her meal plan service and her cookbooks and things like that. But I love cooking with her recipes. She has created many different meals that use very minimal ingredients and have lots of flavoring, and they take minimal to no time to make. So loaded with nutrition. Okay, so you can hear our onions and our garlic is sizzling. That's a good sound. And as it starts to soften, I usually wait until I smell it. Like, I don't know how to explain it. A lot of you who cook a lot probably know what I'm talking about. But I wait till I start to, I kind of test it if it's softened, but I know that it's gonna be cooking more in liquid later on in the recipe. So that's not as important to me, but when I start to smell the onion and the garlic and it starts to make my stomach rumble, that's when I know I can move on to the next step. Okay, so we want to go ahead and add in our spices. So for one serving, you're gonna want 1 to 2 teaspoons of the curry. I am obsessed with curry powder right now. I just love it. I don't know what it is. It tastes very sweet. It's so good for you. It has all the good stuff in it. And then you're just gonna wanna add a dash or so of cinnamon, turmeric, that will help make it yellow and a little bit more of that color, and ground coriander. So little dashes of these will be added in there too, to your preference. I always start with a little bit and then I add more later. So I already measured everything out. Try not to dump it. I'm gonna go ahead and dump it in there. Stir it up. So everything's starting to stick a little bit, and when it starts to stick, you just wanna add just a smidge of whatever liquid base you're cooking with. So I'm gonna get that out of the way so you guys can see. And it's already starting to smell so good. I was only a little bit hungry when I started this, but I'm gonna be very hungry after this. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more. Perfect. You just wanna kind of mix it in there, get it well coated. Perfect. All mixed in there. I'm gonna let that just cook just for a few seconds and get my next ingredients, which is our pumpkin, our delicious pumpkin. So we need we'll need to add the pumpkin and applesauce. Okay, let me do the pumpkin first. So you only need, for 2 servings, sorry, I have to squat down like this, it's okay. So for 2 servings, you only need 3/4 cup of a pumpkin. Pumpkin, pure pumpkin, not the pumpkin pie filling, which I didn't even know that stuff existed, honestly, until I saw it at the store and I was like, or somebody asked me about it and I was just kind of like, I just want pumpkin. What are you talking about, pumpkin pie filling? So pure pumpkin. I'm gonna toss that in there. And I'm gonna go ahead and just start to stir this in a little bit. I'm gonna turn down the heat and maybe add just a little bit more of the vegetable broth or the liquid that you're using. So I'm actually only cooking for 2, but I decided that, you know, I really like this recipe and I'm gonna want it for lunch tomorrow. So I'm doubling it up so that I can take it and my boyfriend Nick can take it to lunch with him tomorrow. It's so good, it's so filling, it's so nutritious, it makes me so happy. Okay, so a note on the applesauce. So for 2 servings, you only need 2 tablespoons. I'm gonna be throwing 4 tablespoons in there. Something that I started to do, so in the very beginning, I used to buy like a whole jar of applesauce and I never got through it before it molded. So I started buying the little individual packages. I hate individual packages, but for the applesauce, it lasts a pretty long time considering, and it usually provides the perfect measuring amount. I think it's about 1/4 a cup, maybe just a little bit more in each little compartment. And then of course it's really easy just to toss into recycling. So I really like that. So I've got my 4 tablespoons of applesauce and I'm gonna toss that in there too. Apples are kind of like a big deal right now as well. I don't know. Maybe apples can be our ingredient next week. We'll see. We'll see what strikes my fancy. Okay. So I'll go ahead and lift this up so you can see it. It looks like a pan full of just pumpkin everything. It smells amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and stir this in a little bit, just make sure it's well mixed in so that we can add in our next ingredient, which I believe this is where we add in our vegetable broth and our lentils. Yes, so for the whole recipe, it generally calls for about 2 cups of, what do you call it? Vegetable broth? 2 cups of vegetable broth for 2 servings. And you want to start off with 1 cup. Always start off with less than amount because you might not need all of it. It just depends. But I am I'm making the double amount, so I'm going to add in 2 cups. And you need this liquid because we are going to add in our lentils. Lentils are awesome, they're amazing, they're nutritious. Green lentils are superfoods. And you can use green lentils for this recipe. You'll need 1/2 cup of dry lentils. But I really like the red lentils in this, and I don't cook that much with the red lentils. The red lentils to me have a little bit of a kind of a meatier taste. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm actually using the red lentils for this recipe, so I'm gonna go ahead and toss in 1 whole cup of dry lentils since I'm doubling the recipe. I keep repeating that because I don't want you guys to do what I do and then be like, wow, this is a lot of food. Because it does come out. It's a lot of food. One of the best things about eating plant-based, in my opinion, is the amount of food that you get to eat. So like 1 serving looks just like so much food, but I promise, especially if you eat a plant-based diet more, you know, if that's what you do, that's your life, you can just, that one serving looks like nothing. Just this whole nutrients, it's very nourishing for your body, and as soon as you eat it, your body knows exactly what to do with it. It immediately sends it out to all of your cells to create energy and just send that nutrition all through your body. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so this is all stirred in. What we need to do is crank the heat up just a little bit to bring it to a boil. And then we're gonna cover it and let it simmer. Now the times to cook it when you're simmering it is gonna just depend on how you like your lentils, and if you're using a gas stove, it's probably gonna go a lot quicker. But I would just let it simmer and then just check on the consistency of your lentils every so often. I like mine just about cooked. Tastes really good. I don't know. Some people like it a little bit mushier. I don't know. You figure out your preference. Just keep an eye on it. And then when the lentils are done, give it another quick stir, and then you can taste it. That's the fun part. You get to taste test it, and then if you want to add more seasonings, go ahead and add the seasonings to it. And then I like to serve this over rice, specifically basmati rice or a jasmine rice. We've been on that kick lately. It just tastes really, really good with curries. But I do brown rice as well. If white rice, if you like white rice, you can use that too if you want. But you would just serve that over your rice, and then you can add some garnish if you want. If you're like me, if you like to make your food pretty, you can do that. Put more love into your meal, because that is what that energy is going to be transferred to whomever eats this dish. So I'm going to go ahead and crank this up a little bit, and while we wait for it to boil, I need to get a pan out. But I also wanted to note that, so I picked pumpkin for this week, not only because we are all in a pumpkin craze right now, and that we will, if you're like me, you're gonna be craving and wanting pumpkin probably till Thanksgiving, and then you'll be sick of it. I find myself really wanting pumpkin this time of the year, not because it's everywhere in your, you know, in your face when you go shopping, or it's starting to bubble a little bit. I don't want it to pop. But it's a really interesting thing when you start, especially when you start practicing yoga more, you become a lot more in tune with your body. You become you go a lot, I don't know how to explain it. You go a lot more internal. You're a lot more aware of your feelings, your emotions, what your body needs. And that is a relationship that I know on a personal level that I have been craving for. I really, really, really want a positive, healthy relationship with my body. I don't feel like I had the best relationship with it growing up, but yoga and meditation has really helped me tune in and listen to exactly what my body wants, what it craves, and I give it to it. I give that to my body, and I don't feel bad about it. Now, obviously, when it comes to like craving Oreos or any other kind of sweets, there's usually an underlying thing going on, and a lot of times mine is just like, you know, I'm stressed, I'm mad, I'm frustrated, I'm bored, and if that's the case, I usually take a drink of water and go for a walk. If that doesn't help, if I'm still craving Oreos or Ben & Jerry's ice cream or whatever, I just let myself have it. I don't care. And I just feel, I don't know, I feel good. I feel happy. My body and I feel like we're in sync and we're good to go. So what I was trying to get at is that nature has everything that we need to live a healthy life. And, you know, our body is part nature. Like, we have the element of earth in our bodies. And so it's only natural that we nourish ourselves with foods from earth. And at this time of the year, you might not realize it, but our bodies start to crave things like pumpkin, for example. Pumpkin has some goods in it, some nutrients and things that our bodies start craving and wanting and needing, because it's starting to prepare for the fall and winter seasons coming up. So pumpkin has a lot of nutrients in it. It's very high in vitamin A and antioxidants, which is super helpful for our immune system, boosting our immune system, which we all know in the winter time, especially in the autumn, we start to catch bugs like the flu and colds and things like that. So our body, it's like our bodies are like, hey, you know, we want all these foods to help boost our immune system so we can still take care of you and protect you and keep functioning and be healthy through these next couple of seasons. Vitamin A is also really good in the carotene. I think I mispronounced that. If I did, I'm sorry. It's really good for our eyesight. And I was thinking about this, and I was like, why do we want all these why do we want all these orange foods at this time of the year? And if you think about it, like, the winter is starting to get dark. It gets dark sooner, and, you know, our ancestors, when they were living outside and having to watch out for predators and other just bad things, you know, they didn't have flashlights or lights or anything like that. They had to depend on their eyes. So it's really good. Our eyes, you know, gotta start sharpening them up so that we can see better in the wintertime and when it gets dark sooner. So, plus pumpkin just tastes amazing. So any excuse to eat it is awesome. But I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on this. I gotta grab it. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. Let me grab the lid. Woo! I'm gonna move it over here for a second. Because again, oh, I'm so sorry. I should have had this out and ready to go. And now I gotta find it. Oh. Okay, sorry about that. I knew I was forgetting something. I always forget something. Okay. So once you get everything mixed in there, obviously I stirred it in there a lot more than I probably needed to, but it's super bubbly. But anyways, this stovetop and I'm just gonna move over here for a second. Again, I need to learn how to use electric stovetop, but I swear it comes out tasting amazing. So you just let it simmer until the lentils are done and ready to go at the texture that you like. And then again, you get to taste test it and add extra seasoning in there. I wouldn't go too crazy with the seasoning, with the spices, in the sense of adding, you know, experimenting with other spices you have in the cabinet. I would definitely stick with the spices that we started with, the cinnamon, curry, turmeric, ground coriander, and just get it to your liking. And then you can also add, when the lentils are done, you can add a little bit more of the vegetable broth to get it to the consistency that you like. If you like a thinner, more liquid type of curry, then you can add more of the vegetable broth to reach that consistency. Or if you like a thicker one, then you can test it out when the lentils are done, and you might only have to add a tiny bit of vegetable broth to it. So I'm gonna let this simmer for a while, and then I'm gonna taste test it and see if I want to add any more ingredients or any more spices. I don't want to add any more ingredients. And then I'm just gonna serve it over rice, and yeah, I'm gonna eat it and be happy and be healthy and be happy again, because I'm, you know, trying to eat ingredients as close to the earth as I can and being as in sync with nature as I can and making my body happy because that's what it's craving. If I remember, I'll try to take a picture of the final product and I will add it to this video. And yeah, so there's that. Zen Chin Yoga's first cooking video. That's amazing. I will be sharing videos every week because I love cooking, and I think it's really important that people see that eating more plant-based is really not that hard to do. It's really, really good. It's filling. You won't starve. You're not gonna die of a protein deficiency or anything like that. It's very nutritious, and yeah, it's all good. So stay tuned. If you're not signed up for the newsletter, go ahead and sign up for the newsletter on zenchinyoga.com, and you can be one of the first people to know what the special ingredient will be for the week, and then you will be one of the first people to know when the cooking video is available and ready for you to watch and follow along, take notes. If you make this dish, please send a picture to me. You can tag me in it on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, my handle is at thezenchin0501. Or you could just hashtag ZenChinYoga, because believe it or not, that exists as well. So either way, I will see it. But I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can put this safely back on here. let it simmer, and I will see you all very, very soon. So have a good night.